Are you going to find a judge that is going to entertain an argument that because the flip face was up, that they've contributed to their own injuries? I think it's a very, very difficult bar to get over. Very difficult.
So it's a lovely sunny day and I've ridden down today with a black visor on. Have you or your clients ever had any issues involving helmets or visors?
Not visors like that. So that looks like it's an arrow visor and it's got markings on it and it will let more than 50% of the light through. So tinted visors, no. One particular case jumps to mind, and it was a case involving a biker who sadly struck a pedestrian. Now, the reason I mention that is because one of the issues in the case was that the visor was horribly scratched. I mean, to the point where you put it down, you couldn't see anything, meaningful out of it. Now, you and I both know, we're bikers, that if you're riding in the depths of winter, it's cold, it's miserable, it's dark, let's say you wear spectacles, at town riding, you have probably got the visor up. Now, that's what had happened.
Yeah.
That's what had happened. And I make the point because after the collision, there was an investigation, and one of the issues in the case was that this rider couldn't have seen the pedestrian because the visor was so badly scratched.
Right.
Bit of a red herring, because the visor was up. The visor was up the whole time. So it made no difference the fact it was scratched so badly because the rider wasn't using it. So not so much tints. We do have issues with regards to scratched visors, but it really comes down to whether it's in use. That's the issue.
Okay.
So in that particular case, albeit there was a suggestion it was down, the rider in his evidence, absolutely clear. He said, look, if I had it down, it would have fogged up. You and I both know that.
Yeah.
So I had it up.
Any other issues generally with helmets?
Helmets, if I talk about them generally, so they're the only piece of mandatory equipment we must ride with, okay? So it is the law that you must wear a helmet on a motorcycle, except if you're a follower of the Sikh religion, okay? So if you wear a turban, you have an exemption in law.
Okay.
Now, if I come back to the use of helmets, I mean, in this day and age, you know, a lot of them are, they're up to standards, so they meet the required standards by law. One issue that we do face, and I have to say, it's very rare, but I'll give you an example of a flip front helmet. So you're riding along, you've got it flipped up. If you're unlucky enough to have an accident and you suffer an injury to the face, so, a broken jaw or something similar, is there an argument that the other side might say that if you had been riding with it down, you wouldn't have suffered that same injury, okay? Right. So it's very rare. In fact, we've got some flip face helmets here. It's very rare, and you need to, from a solicitor's perspective, look at the points to prove, okay? So first of all, it's not for us, it's not for the biker to disprove it. If the other side raise it as an issue, the burden's on them to prove it, okay? So they will have to tender evidence in any court case that by riding with it up, they actually contributed to their own injuries or the severity of the injuries, okay?
Right, if it was flipped up.
I think it's a very, very difficult bar to get over, very difficult. You can imagine that playing out in court. If I give you the classic example of a car pulling out in front of a bike, there's been an accident, the bike is injured. Are you going to find a judge that is going to entertain an argument that because the flip face was up, that they've contributed to their own injuries? I mean, really, it's a question for medical experts.
Right. Okay.
But I see that as a very difficult bar to get over. Not impossible, it's there as an issue, but I suppose it goes back to having a good solicitor in your corner, knows what the law is, knows what the procedure is, and knows how to challenge things like that.
Got you.